the sacrifices to attain democracy. Now, the day coincides with the 1960 Sharpeville massacre in the struggle against apartheid. But what should we be focusing on 24 years into democracy? Well, we are joined by Gushwell Brooks from the Human Rights Commission to tell us more. Gushwell, thank you very much indeed for your time. It is indeed an important time in South Africa, an important month indeed, Human Rights Month. What is the focus this year?
Oh, indeed, and good evening to you and of course all the people watching at home. So the South African Human Rights Commission has a broad focus when it comes to Human Rights Month. So we look at all the rights that are affected and all the various activities that we participate in. But one of the key things that we're also looking at is the role that business plays in either upholding human rights or having an effect on human rights. So one of the key things that we will be doing this particular Human Rights Month is on the 13th and the 14th of March we'll be hosting a dialogue around human rights and business.
Over the years, in terms of the interest in Human Rights Month, has it raised in any way?
One can say so. I mean, if you look at the number of complaints coming through that we're receiving, I mean, the latest report that we released is the Trends Analysis Report, and there we see that more than 9,000 complaints had been received across the country. And what that indicates is that there's growing awareness. I don't necessarily think that it means that there's more gross human rights violations as we're going along, but people are becoming more aware of their rights, and therefore they are obviously turning to the South African Human Rights Commission, which shows that there is effectiveness in letting people know that they do in fact have rights and that they can assert those particular rights.
Yeah. These complaints, what are they mainly about?
So it's a broad range. So the largest portion is made up of rights based on equality or complaints based on equality. And equality is actually quite broad, even within our Constitution. Section 9 of the Constitution, it includes categories amongst others such as race, gender, sex, sexual orientation, religious, your religious devotions, as well as many other categories within that particular area. So what we find is that the largest number of complaints that we find under that broad umbrella of equality, we have 749 of those that came to the Commission between the years 2015 and 2016. Of the 749, 505 of them are based on race.
Yeah. That's being said, is there adequate resource in the Bill of Rights to deal with the issues of racism?
Oh, indeed. The Bill of Rights makes it absolutely clear that all people within South Africa are equal, despite race, despite any other category that you can imagine, including disability, gender and sex, I've mentioned, and sexual orientation, I've also mentioned previously. However, what we do have, and what we should understand, and I think admit to, is that we have a very fractured past, and it's something that is an ongoing process in dealing with it. And that it's not just something that you can legislate away. You can't write laws to end racism. It is really up to how a society deals with it and understands these issues of prejudice.
Is this part of your month-long program in order to educate the public on their human rights?
So we have many programs actually throughout the 9 provinces. One of the more fun and innovative ones, for example, is a collaboration between ourselves and Josie Cats Rugby Club. Josie Cats Rugby Club is of course renowned as a rugby club here within Johannesburg, which accommodates and caters for LGBTI persons, more specifically gay men. So the South African Human Rights Commission will be joining them for a game of rugby on Human Rights Day. And the theme behind it is to tackle homophobia. And this comes out from work that we've done within the space of LGBTI rights as well. So we're very excited by that. But of course, as I mentioned, that's why I have these papers on my lap. I mean, it's that. There's a Human Rights Festival at the Constitutional Hill. I'm just going to mention some of the highlights. Of course, I can't go through all of it. In Limpopo province, there will be a commemoration of International Women's Day in partnership with the Limpopo provincial government as well as the CGE. That's on the 8th of March. There's going to be visits to schools and places of safety in KZN. There will be a help desk at the taxi rank that is in Cedarville in KZN. In the Western Cape, there will be a partnership with Nyanga SAPS and a presentation at the youth camp to combat gangsterism. So as you can see, that it's extremely broad, and this is now, as I said, out of the Northwest. And of course, we'll be keeping you as the media very busy during that time, because we'll be keeping you up to date.
We look forward to that as well. Look, pretty packed program. Let's talk children's rights. I mean, here we're talking about basic nutrition, we talk about health services, we talk about food and shelter. If you talk to my 6-year-old, he'll put toys up there as a basic human right. But it all, do children really know their rights? Is there adequate programs in order to educate them about their rights?
It's actually excellent that you asked that question, because just last year, or during this last financial year that we're leaving now, we launched a child-friendly complaints handling program, which is actually phenomenal. So what it allows is that each and every single office within the South African Human Rights Commission has a safe space for children where they can actually lodge their complaints. Apart from that, we also have a lot of educational material that we've produced this year. There's a colouring book, there's posters. I'm very excited about the drawstring bags and the rulers that we've put together. So those will be distributed throughout the 9 provinces throughout this entire period as well. But this is really in an effort to let young people, especially children, understand how they can access their rights. And of course, the easiest way is to go directly to the Human Rights Commission, to the South African Human Rights Commission, whether it be through the website, through digital means, alternatively picking up the phone and giving us a call. And on all those contact details are on all our various materials that actually educate you on your rights and what your responsibilities are as well.
Speaking of children, somebody who really loved children was the late former President Nelson Mandela. This theme for Human Rights Month is really tied up with this icon, isn't it?
No, indeed. And I think that it's also important that we understand where children's rights fit into our Constitution, because all rights within Chapter 2 of the Constitution apply to children. But equally so, we also need to recognize and understand that there are special and particular rights that do also apply to them, and that we really do need to guard them.
Gushwell, thank you very much indeed for your insight.
It's a pleasure.
Really appreciate it. Gushwell Brooks is from the Human Rights Commission. Let's get some international news now. And French far-right leader Marine Le Pen has been charged for tweeting gruesome images of purported atrocities by Islamic State jihadists. In November, the National Assembly voted to strip the National Front president of her parliamentary immunity over the 3 photos of IS violence posted in 2015.